Welcome to the WiseTake DFS podcast, sponsored by one of the hottest teams in the DFS industry, Daily Roto Sharks. If you want to be prepared for your DFS slates every night, you need to join the hashtag Sheet Squad movement. Check it out now at dailyrotosharks.com or click the link in the description below. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined here by Daily Roto Sharks co-owner Ben Jammin. You can find him on Twitter at xbenjaminx. We're also joined here by a very special guest. We've got Josh Chovan from Roto. You can find him on Twitter at the Chovan1. Josh, how we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And Ben, how we doing, Ben?
Glad to be back as always. You've been killing it. The views are way up, and glad to have my boy Josh here from Roto. We love those Roto guys over there, so shout out to them, and let's get started on a pretty nice big Tuesday slate.
Absolutely, yeah. That sounds great to me. Josh, do me a favor, just in case we have some listeners who maybe don't know you, which I doubt. I'm sure everybody does. If Ben knows you, I think everybody knows you. But anyway, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you do over at Roto.
Sure. Well, that's very kind of you, and kind of you, Ben, too. We love Ben over at Roto. No, I'm sure there's some people who haven't. I really wasn't really on the scene writing and touting until a few months ago. I've been playing daily fantasy full-time since about the start of football season this last year. I guess just started taking it a lot more seriously, kind of pulled it all together, and had a pretty big week early on. I think it made about a little over 30K on one football Sunday, and I just kind of snowballed from there and got linked up with Ben, and Ben was very kind to me and brought me in and befriended a few of the Roto guys and got to know them, and then they were kind enough to bring me on, and just really gave me a great opportunity there. They had no UFC product until I came in, and they let me do UFC, and we've just killed every single UFC slate, and that's been awesome. And I do a piece called Chovan's Choices every day where I was doing basketball, now doing baseball. I just picked my 5 guys that I'm willing to die on that particular night and write them up and why. And then Ricky Sanders, who's a very well-known name in the industry. We do a premium chat for our members every day from 5 to 6, and that chat's been awesome. We nail so many good plays in that chat every day. So, yeah, Jason, who owns Roto, and Josh Kalachi and Ricky Sanders, who are my bosses. It's an awesome team. Everyone says we have huge things going on, but we really have huge things going on. We're completely changing our product to something called daily targets, and that's going to have it's just going to be like Roto on steroids, basically. And so that'll roll out in August, and so I'm just freaking stoked to be a part of it. And it's just been a great introduction into what this industry is. There's so many crazy things going on, and it's cool to be part of a company with character that really values its members. And we have a lot of respect for what's going on at Roto Sharks too, and what Ben and CG have done. So it's just a fun thing to be a part of, man. This whole DFS thing started out so hot, and then some weird stuff happened, and we had to get legalized and everything. And now I feel like the industry is really on its way back up, and it's going to be bigger than it ever was. So it's just a cool time for all of us.
That's awesome. That's awesome stuff. All right, guys.
Yeah, man. We love you guys over there, and we hung out with a bunch of the Roto guys at the DraftKings football final in the city. Had some good times there, and we've been in contact with them since the Roto started. So glad we can do this little mesh of the two sites right here, and let's get into it.
Kalachi was hammered. He remembers nothing that happened in New York City.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I could feel the love seeping through the speakers here. I could feel it. My ears are getting warm.
I'm going to be in trouble for that one, but okay.
Oh, God. All right, guys. You ready to get into some baseball?
Let's do it.
All right, fellas.
Let's do it.
First up, we got Taijuan Walker of the Arizona Diamondbacks visiting Tanner Roark of the red-hot Washington Nationals. Josh, do us a favor and start us off.
Let me pull up. My stuff. Which game did you say we were doing, man?
The Diamondbacks and the Nationals.
Diamondbacks and the Nationals.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about if you like any of the pitchers.
Actually, Ben, you want to hop on that first? And
yeah, sure. So, for me, it's the only pitcher I would really even consider in this game would be Roark. Washington's been way too hot. It's in Washington, so you're not playing in Arizona Park, which is pretty good for the hitters. And pitching wise, neither of them have like crazy high upside in terms of strikeouts. Walker's been letting up a lot of home runs since last year. He's let up 1.65 home runs per nine, so you could definitely take advantage of that. And the Washington lefties are definitely in play. I mean, we saw Rendon go off the other day, so. He may be heating up. Zimmerman's been one of the hottest, if not the hottest, players in baseball. So I've been rostering him, and he hasn't gone over $4,000 yet. So for me, I'll be stacking Washington up. I don't see how they're not some kind of chalk tomorrow. But I mean, Taijuan Walker, he gets hit hard even against righties. So I'll be stacking them up. I can maybe see the Tanner Roark side, but I wouldn't go there really. I could see the Arizona bats, but I'd probably just only go with a couple of lefties and a mini stack. So I'm more heavy on Washington bats in this game than anything.
Gotcha. Great. Josh, what about you?
For me, this whole game's kind of a fade for me. When you only play one or two lineups like I do, you fade whole entire games. As far as Taijuan Walker, he's really only good when he faces San Diego. He looked like Roger Clemens when he faced San Diego, which I'm going to want to get into later with my interest in Chatwood tomorrow. But I'm not interested in this kind of situation where we have two average-ish pitchers. And so I'm not super interested in a ton of bats, although Ryan Zimmerman has been white hot. I agree with Ben. You can keep locking him into your cash teams. He's set. Did you guys see that? He set the Nationals record for most RBIs in April.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're setting all kinds of records right now.
He's just been crushing. And I would 1 out of 10. I consider Taijuan Walker like a 6, and so I'm not going out of my way to target him. But You can't ignore how good Zimmerman's been, and of course Bryce. Guys like Bryce and Turner are always in play. And then Tanner Roark, to me, is just like the ultimate slightly above average pitcher. He's always going to get you like 30 FanDuel points a game. And so don't have a ton of interest in either pitcher, and I don't have a ton of interest in either offense. Sorry, that's kind of a boring way to start off the show, but that's kind of how I feel about that game.
I mean, for me, it all comes down to just he's been really susceptible to the home run. And, if I'm stacking, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for a Zimmerman, a Worth, a Murphy, a Harper, one or two of those guys to hit a home run, and the others to touch up on him. But like I said, the only interest I have here is stacking Washington bats. Besides that, nothing interests me really.
Gotcha. All right, you guys want to move on?
Sure.
All right, we got Matt Latos of the Toronto Blue Jays visiting Masahiro Tanaka of the New York Yankees. Go ahead, Ben. What are we doing?
All right. Well, I mean, I'm a Yankees fan, so I like to stack them all the time, and I just happened to not be playing them the other night when they all went crazy. But the one thing I know here is that Latos has bad control issues. So you're going to be getting guys on base. The Yankees have been really patient. Latos doesn't really strike anybody out, so this is definitely a game that I could see targeting Latos using the Yankee bats. He's actually a reverse splits pitcher, so he's worse against righties than he is against lefties, which is pretty interesting. But he gives up more more power to lefties. So if I'm going to be using anybody, I'm going to be looking at the power guys today. So Judge, Holiday. Chris Carter can maybe start to come out of his slump a little bit in matchups like these, especially at super low ownership. It's hard not to have the Yankees in play for me, so I don't really see much on Tanaka's side. You could definitely use him. Toronto's been struggling, but as we saw today, Severino, who I think is a better pitcher than Tanaka, got touched up a little bit, so it may have been to his control, but for the most part, for me, it's Yankees bats in this game, and then everything else is a fade.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
Yeah, I'm interested in Judge. I'm always going to be interested in Aaron Judge. I think he can hit Latos fine here. I was looking at Tanaka. Tanaka might be my SP number 4 on the night. I know that Toronto flashed a little bit tonight, but I watched most of that game because I had Severino on most of my teams, and as I was throwing things at my TV all night because Severino was awful, I think that game was more so a product of Severino just having a bad game, man. He couldn't find the strike zone. He really couldn't. I mean, it was. I could have thrown strikes better than Severino did tonight. They would have been about 60 miles an hour, but at least they would have been strikes. And he actually, it could have been a lot worse. He got taken out to the wall 2 or 3 times before they finally hit a home run and took him out of the game. So right. I still think that Toronto's awful. We're talking no Josh Donaldson, no Troy Tulowitzki, no Russell Martin now. This is like a AAA team, guys. And so Tanaka's been he's been decent. It was a horrible first start to the year. But now I'm pulling up his game log now.
We have a 5-game
2 straight starts with 46 FanDuel points. And I still think this Toronto team's really bad. I think that Severino just made him look good because he was so bad tonight. So I have a lot of interest in Tanaka, especially on as like an SP2.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's 8,800 on FanDuel. That's not expensive, but it's not cheap either. We have a 5-game sample size, and he has been going 6 innings per game, but he's over a 1 whip. His BABIP is low, which is all right, but under 20K percentage. Under 7K per 9, ERA of 4, xFIP of 4, so there's nothing really showing a lot of positive regression. The only thing that really he has going for him is the matchup, and in Yankee Stadium, like we saw today, even Goins hit a home run. So this is a team that can bop a couple of homers, and Tanaka is a little bit susceptible to letting up the home run. You have guys like Justin Smoke, Jose Bautista, Kendrys Morales. Like all 3 of those guys really could go yard against him tomorrow in Yankee Stadium. So, if you really want a low-owned stack, I think that no one will really be on those 3 guys. But like I said, I have really all my interest in the Yankees bats and not much else.
Hey, Ben, if you were to rank your top 3 Yankees bats tomorrow, what would they be?
That's tough. Probably Judge, and then like Ellsbury, Gardner. I usually like the outfield there. You could go Castro just because they both have reverse splits there. So I'd probably say whole outfield and Castro would be like my main targets if I was going.
Does Brett Gardner have the platoon advantage tomorrow?
Yeah, lefty righty.
There you go. I mean, he made me a ton of money Saturday afternoon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can expect him going 2 home runs every night, but he
44.5 FanDuel points on Saturday.
Yeah, man, can't argue with that for sure. And you're you like playing cash even though you put him in GPPs, but yeah, you have Gardner and Ellsbury as your more cash plays, and then you have Judge with the upside and Castro. He could hit a home run for you, and I'd rather go Chris Carter over Greg Bird the way it currently stands, even though neither of them are playing well. But I like the outfield and Castro.
Okay, cool. Definitely. All right, next we got Alex Cobb of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Edinson Volquez of the Miami Marlins. Josh, you want to start us off this time?
Is it okay with Ben starting?
Oh, yeah. That's no problem. That's no problem at all.
Yeah, that kind of works for me.
Yeah, you got it, man. No problem. Go ahead, Ben.
So, While Tampa's been pretty decent this year, the one thing they are susceptible to is righties, and Volquez, even though he doesn't have a high K percentage, he's not really known for that. They could kind of even that out for him, and we could see 6 or 7 from him, and he normally has around 6. I think that the problem with him is that he doesn't pitch long into games. He's been getting hit really hard this year. So he's not someone that truly interests me, but if I was looking to stack a bunch of bats, like I could see a little bit of validity to him. In terms of the bats, I'm not really on anyone from this game except I think you can kind of consider the Miami lefties if you're really looking at anything, Bohr, Yelich, and Gordon, but maybe Ozuna in there. I'm just not really interested in this game as a whole.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Josh.
I'm kind of the opposite of, or maybe a little bit different than Ben here. I have interest in the Tampa Bay bats. Edinson is just, I think he's broken. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. Yeah, we're talking about a guy that's just been getting raked over the coals. I don't think he's lasted more than 4 innings so far this year. Giving it up to lefties. Giving up a .515 slugging percentage to lefties and still giving up, 379 to righties. So he's kind of an equal opportunity guy, but gives it up more to lefties. So I actually have a lot of interest in the Tampa Bay lefties in this lineup.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, if they were playing in a better ballpark, then I would probably consider it.
Sure.
But Dickerson's your power bat there, and even Logan Morrison, who's really streaky. Kiermaier, you're not looking for pop from him. You're looking for line drives. Souza's not as good versus righties. So
Miller swiped a couple bags tonight, so he doesn't really need the home run. He's a Tampa Bay lefty that I have some interest in.
Yeah, I mean, I can see using like one of these guys as a one-off, but I'm not really on them.
I gotcha.
The most I would go from Tampa Bay is probably 2 guys, but pretty likely I have 2 Devil Rays in my cash team tomorrow.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going wild and rostering 4 or 5.
What about? I mean, their Vegas totals at 3.6. What do you think of that? Did you consider Vegas totals when you're making?
Oh
cash?
yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't for a long time because I was like, oh, who are they? There's plenty of DFS experts who are just as good. And then I started finding out that Vegas gets the insider info, and so like especially for like basketball, like Vegas knows if LeBron James is going to sit out the game because the total is ridiculously low. So I actually put a ton of stock into Vegas based on the fact that they get information that none of us get way earlier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're not just a bunch of super smart guys out in the desert, which they are. They have access to information that us normal people don't.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we got Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians visiting Justin Verlander of the Detroit Tigers. Now, we're going to want to check the weather here, but what I see as of now, I don't know if you guys see the same thing, but I'm seeing 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to the left. Go ahead, Ben. What are we doing here?
All right. Well, if you're new to watching me or following me, then you don't know that I stack Cleveland against everybody. That's exactly what I'll be doing. So this one's a tough one for me. Whenever
you just look for any excuse to play Lonnie Chisenhall.
I don't look for any excuses because he's just locked in before the slate starts. I don't need any excuses. He's just there. He's just like embedded into my FanDuel. But it's always a problem for me, of course, when they're facing a good pitcher, just because I always have to just think like, all right, well, they're not facing a gas can, and this guy can clearly shut them down at any point. But at the same time, I've said in the past, I'll stack them against anybody. So my bias comes into play for sure with Cleveland. They've done me really well in the past, taking down, high quality starting pitchers at super low ownership. So I would say I'm definitely stacking them for sure. I wouldn't recommend that to everybody unless you feel really risky or you're just insane for them like I am. Kluber, I could definitely see validity into using him. The Detroit bats are much better against lefties. Both these pitchers are really good. I don't have any interest in the Detroit guys. I'll be stacking up Cleveland irrationally, of course. But when they have 5 runs and, in the 6th or 7th inning and Verlander's at 80 pitches, and with a few runs earned, then I'll be looking at a low-owned lineup with potentially some nice points in there. I'm just not recommending it to everybody else. This isn't a game that I'm really touching much, but I do like the Cleveland side just because I like them on any given day.
Okay, go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
This is a little bit of a fade for me too. I want to target lefties against the Tigers. We saw what James Paxton did to him a week ago. Just shut him down and racked up a ton of strikeouts. But this is We could kind of move along here. I don't have a whole ton of interest in this game.
All right, sounds good.
The one thing I would say is that in a game like this, you have two completely different sides of a bullpen. You have Cleveland, who's been great this year in their bullpen. I think they've only let up 2 home runs so far. And then you have Detroit on the other end, who's been the worst or second worst, and they've been letting up 2 per 9. So
their bullpen's awful.
Awful. So from that's what I'm saying. Like if they get Verlander's pitch count up, they get a couple of runs on him, and then they're facing a terrible bullpen. I'm not saying that Cleveland's going to go off in the first few innings, but if they could get to him and get to that bullpen, then you have a real shot at some nice low-owned points, and that's also
what do you think's going on? Oh, I'm sorry. What do you think's going on with Verlander? We're talking he gets rocked at Cleveland. He gets rocked in Minnesota, and then apparently he changes a few things on his delivery, which is odd for me when a 8-time whatever all-star is going to change his delivery. That doesn't make much sense to me. But if he tweaks something, and then he shuts down the Mariners, goes 7 innings, strikes out 8. Did he fix something, or did he? What do you think's going on there? Because this same Cleveland team blew him the hell up for 9 runs in 4 innings 2 weeks ago.
Right. Well, I mean, his velocity is definitely down in terms of what his max was at like 96, and now he got it up towards the end of last year, but in the beginning of last year his velocity was around 92, 93, 94, and now it's at 95, which is pretty decent. So I don't see anything in terms of the fastball velocity change. But I think maybe, we just need to hire somebody and figure out where Kate Upton is going to be. And if she's at the game, then we play him. And if not, then we avoid him.
Yeah.
Did you see what he put on? Verlander's like the biggest troll in the world. He said he was working on his tipping technique, and it was him in a hot tub in like Maui tipping back a beer. Did you see that on Instagram?
Oh, man. No, that's
ridiculous. He said literally it's when because he skipped a start or something, and they said he needed to work on his tipping or something. So it was him sitting in a hot tub tipping a beer back and forth. He's like, I'm just over here trying to work on my tipping.
All right. There's one thing that I noticed about Verlander this year compared to his entire career. He's throwing the least amount of changeups and the most sliders that he's ever thrown. So if you look at 2008, he was throwing his changeup around 33% of the time, and his slider never. And now he's throwing his slider 20% of the time, and his changeup 3% of the time this year. So maybe his slider's been getting hit a little bit more, or his strikeout pitch was his changeup, and now he's pitching to more contact as he's getting older. So there could be a few things in play there.
For sure.
Justin Verlander said a few days ago he has no interest in his changeup anymore. I quote, "I'm just ignoring that pitch for now."
Oh, wow.
There you go. That's ridiculous.
He's kind of a dick. He just really doesn't care what anyone else thinks.
Right, man.
He's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, good. Whatever. so there's one of the things. He's throwing his curve and his slider both 20% of the time. And he's just gotten rid of the changeup. So it's I don't know why you would get rid of that pitch. It's a really good pitch.
He had a pretty good changeup.
Yeah.
I was not going to use that anymore.
Yeah, I'm done with that. I'll just throw left or something else.
All right, we got Alec Asher of the Baltimore Orioles visiting Chris Sale, the lefty from the Boston Red Sox. Go ahead, Ben.
Woo! Chris Sale has been on fire.
He's good.
And he has been crushing it this year.
He's good at baseball.
He's really good at baseball. He's had a great walk rate. He's had a great K rate, great home run rate, great everything about pitching. This guy is elite at the moment. 5 games.
Doesn't he kind of remind you of like a classic Red Sox pitcher, Ben? Just kind of like a Kurt Schilling or a Roger Clemens. Like I feel like he was like born to wear the Red Sox uniform. I don't know. I think he fits in. I think he fits in there better than David Price ever will. I think he's just a natural Boston guy.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like his delivery is so unorthodox, even for a lefty, is that like you just can't see it from the right angle, and you think everything's coming in on you when it's right on the plate. And when you're playing in that field and you see that big green wall, like you're thinking, I I got to hammer this ball. And if it's coming in on you, on your hands, it's going to be real tough to do that. So, I mean, the guy he's had 5 games so far, pitched 7.5 innings per game. His whip is under 1. His K per 9's 12. ERA 1. XFIP 2. There's nothing wrong with this guy right now, and he is as elite as it comes, and he's pitching as the top pitcher in the league. So for me, against Baltimore, like I don't think there's anyone who could touch him there. You could always get lucky with a Trumbo or Adam Jones home run, but in this game for me, it's sail or bust.
Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
Well, you heard me interrupt Ben 15 times. Man, he's just. He's right. This is the best pitcher in the league right now. I'm watching Kershaw get hit around on my TV here. I don't know. We haven't seen this in a while, but I think of the throwback guys like the Nolan Ryans and the Greg Maddoxes. Like Greg Maddux was decent when he was in Chicago, but it wasn't until he went to a good team in the Atlanta Braves that he really became, Greg freaking Maddux. Yeah. And I think what we're seeing here. This guy's a throwback. I think he's happy to be on a team that actually wins games, and I think we just ride this. I'm looking at his price tag on FanDuel. He's below 12K. He shouldn't be below 12K. This guy should be like 14K.
I was watching him the other day, Josh. He just pounds the strike zone. He just gets ahead.
He's having fun.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's attacking. He is going for that Cy Young. He is just attacking and making you be aware of him at every single pitch.
He's definitely good.
I completely agree with that. And you talked about there's a reason they call him the Condor. He's just this big lanky guy, and he comes at you from the side. You can't even see the ball until it's right in front of you. And good luck hitting that.
Right. Do you have any interest in in Boston bats at all against Asher?
Oh man, we
don't know a ton of Asher. I mean, it's weird. He had one start this year, right? And he did pretty good. And then they didn't use him. You would think if a guy can come in and throw 6 innings against Toronto, strike out 5, quality start, and then they've only used him for a few hitters since. So they obviously don't think that highly of him. There's some teams that I want to focus on more. But Alec Asher certainly doesn't scare me off Boston bats,
For me, this would be the perfect spot to if this was last year, to go Shaw and Ortiz. But neither of them are there now. They would possibly be able to get to their bullpen, to Baltimore's bullpen, which has been pretty weak this year. So I mean, I'm off them, but I just really wish they had some powerful lefties in that lineup, and they just don't. They just don't have it. I don't see it anymore for Boston without Ortiz, man, in that middle. So for me, I just go sail and move on.
For sure.
Is there any scenario where Poppy pulls like a Michael Jordan and comes back in the middle of the season?
I would
he can still do it.
I don't.
He can still hit. I mean.
Yeah. No, I don't see it. I wish, but he would have stayed.
You wish? You're a Yankee fan, Ben.
I don't care about that anymore. For me, it's like put him in my lineup and make sure he's salary saver.
Oh man. Oh boy.
He was a cash game lock when he had the platoon split. He was always going to do something.
For sure. Now, let me ask you guys a question. This game is a pretty high total. So either Vegas is thinking the Red Sox are going to put up some serious points here, or they're going to make you think about Sale here. Now, obviously, I'm not dying to stack anybody against Sale, especially not a lefty team that struck out X amount of 12 times against Garrett the other day. So what do you guys think? Do you think there's merit to this?
Do you have a breakdown for that? Like how many runs they expect the Red Sox to score?
I think the over-under itself is about 9 right now, and from what I see from Fantasy Labs, the Red Sox are projected for 5.6 runs.
Yeah. You have Benintendi, Moreland, and Bradley, so they actually could end up as a stack. I forgot that Moreland was hitting right in the middle of that lineup, and it looks like wind might be blowing out tomorrow.
Right.
So yeah, I guess you can consider Boston bats, but for me it's just Chris Sale, and I think you have other spots you can look at, but that team total is enticing.
Gotcha.
I completely forgot about Benintendi. I'm a big Ben Benintendi fan. I've got to see him play live at Fenway a few times this year, and he's a five-tool player. He can hit home runs. He can steal bases. If he's got favorable numbers, I definitely have some interest in Andrew Benintendi tomorrow.
For sure. All right, we got Tyler Glasnow of the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting Scott Feldman of the Cincinnati Reds. The names just get better and better after Sale. Go ahead, Ben. What are we doing here?
Well, I don't think we're comparing anybody to Sale in this game.
I don't think so.
Both these pitchers are people that I think we can pick on. We don't have a good park here. Glasnow, he's shown some strikeout upside, but what he really is known for at this point in his young career is his lack of control.
Wild thing.
If you're at the plate, he'll walk you.
Right.
So that's the type of guy he is. It's like he's looking to rack up as many walks as possible, because that's basically what's been happening. His whip is over 2.45 so far this year. His ERA is 8, xFIP's 5. He has all the classic signs of stacking against. So this could be a day where you get, a double dong out of one of the Cincinnati guys, maybe a Duvall or a Trebler or a Votto. One of these guys can take him deep and maybe even twice. The only thing is, you're not getting the benefit of a good park. But if this guy is going to be putting people on base, then you definitely have a lot of grounds for runs being scored.
I'm sorry, you said they don't get the benefit of. Oh, you mean for Glasnow? Like it's a bad park for Glasnow.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to clear it up. That's all. All right, go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
No. I was saying like Glasnow doesn't get the benefit of like pitching in a good park.
I got you. I thought you were saying the hitters don't get the benefit, and I was like, wait, what?
Oh, sorry. I meant like Glasnow, like he's going to be putting people on base,
Right.
and he doesn't have the benefit of playing in a good park.
Gotcha.
So for the batters, it's absolutely a good park. That's what I'm saying. Like
Gotcha.
one of these guys can double down tomorrow.
For sure, absolutely. Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
Yeah, I agree with several things that Ben said. I don't always agree with Ben, but I agree with pretty much everything he said there. Cincinnati doesn't really get its respect as a hitter's park, don't you guys think? I mean, that's got to be a top 6 hitter's park. I mean, it's no Coors or Chase Field, but
it certainly gets its respect. I mean, for us, we have it ranked as the third best hitter's park.
You have it ranked as the third best? Wow.
I mean, Colorado, Milwaukee, yeah.
So where do you have Chase Field?
Chase is a little bit below. Let me look right now, actually.
Having it in front of Chase is bold. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but that's
Chase we have as a 10 overall.
10?
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we have Yankees, Orioles, White Sox, Rangers, Blue Jays, Phillies, then Diamondbacks.
You got to consider the Braves in that mix too nowadays.
They've definitely moved up there, but
Yeah.
I mean, when you're considering that group of ballparks, they're all basically like similar in terms of what their park factor is, and they're all hitters parks. It's just some of them are more conducive to lefties and some are better for righties. So these are things you definitely pay a little bit close attention to.
For sure. Well, you got anything for us, Josh? Anything else? Or
I do. Here's a hot take for you. I will have 4 Cincinnati Reds in cash.
In cash. I like it.
I mean, listen, you could legitimately game stack this. Feldman is not a good pitcher. Pirates have been hot lately. Chovan was on Harrison today. I don't think he's going to be that same play tomorrow, but
no.
Have Josh Bell. You're going to have Polanco. You're going to have McCutchen, who's been hot. So there is some firepower in there heating up in the Pirates lineup, and playing in this park. I think they're definitely in a good spot. I could see a game stack.
For sure.
And I don't. I like narratives. I don't. You can't go crazy with narratives because there's 162 games. But I was watching some of that game, and Billy Hamilton walked off. He stole 2 or 3 bases. Billy Hamilton stole 3 bases tonight, scored the game-winning run. I think that the Pirates are headed this way and the Reds are headed this way. I mean, the Reds aren't going to make the playoffs, but they seem like they're having fun. They're a hot team. They're at home. Glasnow is just awful, man. I'm especially looking at the speedsters at the top of the lineup.
Like guys are going to be running.
Billy Hamilton. Sure. And I have a ton of interest in the Cincinnati Reds here, and some interest in the Pirates as well. And Andrew McCutchen looks like he, remembered how to play baseball again. So that's
yeah, because Marte left. He's like, this is my team now.
I like seeing that from him.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we got Matt Harvey of my New York Mets visiting R.A. Dickey of the Atlanta Braves. Go ahead, Ben.
He's still pitching, Harvey. I guess because there's so many injuries over there that you got to throw him out there. For me, Freddie Freeman. I mean, the problem is his salary, $4,700, is just way too high. But normally he'd be a lock it in for me. I'm just going to be a little bit off him. I'd have to check the BVP to see what the Mets guys are against Dickey. So let me actually just pull that up so I have that in front of me, just because I think that you really could use some of these Mets guys. Let me just make sure that some of them at least have like decent matchups against him. Let's see. We have Jay Bruce is 6 for 15 with 1 home run. Asdrubal is 6 for 21 with 2 home runs. So you don't really get too much there. Granderson and Reyes are both awful against him. So, yeah, there isn't really anything that sticks out. But I could definitely see, like, a Jay Bruce. Conforto's heating up. Granderson has terrible numbers, so I'm not going to go there. So, for me, there's only a couple guys here I'd use. Bruce, Conforto, Kemp, Markakis, and Enciarte on the other side.
For sure. What you got for us, Josh?
Jay Bruce is on fire. He's been my boy Ricky Sanders has been on him, and Conforto had a home run, multiple RBIs tonight. So I do have some interest in him. As who's pitching again for Atlanta?
R.A. Dickey.
Dickey.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
and he's hurt too. Or he's hobbled. He had to leave his last start with a bad quad. But Dickey hasn't really been a gas can this year. He's been, very R.A. Dickey-like, gives up a few singles, goes about 5 innings. Harvey, on the other hand, he just got rocked. This Mets team is just a freaking mess right now. So
their bullpen is stretched right now, too, because of what happened with Thor. So that's why some of these Atlanta guys will still be in play. Freeman, just his price tag's a little too high for me.
He's high.
Yeah, when I have Joey Votto sitting there for cheaper than Freeman, I'm
exactly
Votto in that matchup. But
even
there's a couple of kind of tempting plays. There's a white hot Jay Bruce and a white hot Conforto jump out to me, but R.A. Dickey's he's a grinder, man. It's hard to get huge scores on him. He's usually good for giving up a few hits.
I'm not strong on this game at all for anything.
In the same way.
Gotcha. All right, we got Jeremy Hellickson of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting John Lester, the lefty from the Chicago Cubs. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, so Lester's been pretty decent. The one thing that he's known for is that if you get on base, then you're going to be able to steal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just absolutely awful. The one thing is he's pretty good against righties, so you're not really going to be able to see much pop from the righties on Philly, which is where they do a lot of their damage. There are a couple of guys that are hitting really well on Philly though, so
Are you guys watching this Philly game right now?
No, I'm not watching it right now.
Philly has, how the Cubs were supposed to be the stack of the day.
Yeah.
At least according to some people. The score is Philadelphia 10, Chicago Cubs 1 right now. Saunders home run, Tommy Joseph home run, Galvis home run. Altair has like 3 doubles. Philly is just smoking the
Yeah,
Cubs.
that's what I'm saying.
That wind is no
they're
joke. When that wind is blowing out, it's no joke.
yeah, maybe not for Cubs right now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
for
But
Philly it
Well,
works.
you know what? It's
Less-
funny. I heard people
but-
talk all day today bashing on Velasquez. The guy's pretty good. Like, listen, do I want to take him at home in
Yeah.
Philly's ballpark? No, but he's not bad.
That's about it.
Well, against righties, he's pretty dominant. He does struggle against lefties, which I'll give you that the Cubs have a lot of solid lefties, but the Cubs can strike out with the best of them too. You know, those are guys that can strike out. So I wasn't big on the Cubs at all today. I think I had one lineup with some Cubs in. I had a lot of Phillies. I didn't have the right ones apparently, otherwise I'd be winning. But yeah, I wasn't. I don't really like picking on Velasquez too much, unless they're of course in Philly. That's the only time I like to pick on him. What do you guys think about it?
Hashtag never forget to when Velasquez struck out 16. He had like 82 FanDuel points. Remember that last year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. I do.
He has that upside. That's why people
He has the upside. Yeah.
kind of leech onto that a little bit. But I mean, we haven't seen Lester with much upside this year. He's not going deep into games. He hasn't hit double-digit upside and strikeouts. He's barely even hitting 5 at this point. So it's a tough one for me just because I know how dominant he can be. Mm-hmm. Philly can strike out a lot, but I mean, until I see a little bit more from him, it's tough. They're a huge favorite. So, I mean, I could see him playing well because of the Vegas lines, but I just don't see the upside right now.
Gotcha.
When did Lester become awful? He's given up 19 hits in his past 2 games.
Yeah, and I mean,
I know he's like 76 years old, but still.
He's maxed out at 7 strikeouts. I mean, if you go back to last August, he's only thrown max 8. So, you know, he can go deep into games, but we just haven't seen it right now.
For sure.
So I'm not really on this. If anything, you know, you can maybe even look at some of the Philly guys as low ownership. But
it's got to be very tempting to chase Philly after they go for however many
this
runs.
Just seems like kind of a fade for me. I could see going to the Cubs after they burnt people yesterday. So, you know, Schwarber, Rizzo, Zobrist, Hayward, the lefties, I think you could definitely see them in play for sure. I'm just not on much else.
I gotcha. Josh, you got anything to add?
I'm going to probably have a couple Phillies in there. If I played 2 lineups tomorrow, I'm sure I'll have exposure to a few Phillies. You just got to look at these numbers for Lester. I mean, he's not good. He gave up 9 hits, 5 earned 2 games ago. He gave up 10 hits and 5 earned last game. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't read too much into the earned runs per se because we know that, you know, at Cincinnati is always tough. At Pittsburgh is a little different, but he faced them when, you know, they all hit very well that day a few days ago. So
yeah.
I think the 5 earned runs might be higher than we can expect for tomorrow, but on the pitching side, I don't think he has enough upside for us, and on the hitting side, I don't see them scoring a lot of runs on him.
I've been doing this too long to be that donkey that chases, you know, Philly after they scored 10 runs because Philly's not a good baseball team. So it's tempting, but it wouldn't be too hard to talk me out of not chasing Philadelphia getting double-digit runs.
For sure. All right, we got Sonny Gray of the Oakland Athletics visiting Irvin Santana of the Minnesota Twins. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, let me ask you guys something, just because I think this is very interesting. Do you remember Oakland from last year as a strikeout team, or a team that strikes out, or a team that doesn't strike out?
Doesn't strike out.
What about you, Josh?
The tables have turned.
The tables have turned. Oakland is, in the past 14 days, they are number 2 in the league as a team in strikeout percentage, right behind the Padres, both at 26. Right above the Brewers and above the Phillies and above the Reds. So I don't know if people are on this yet. Because
they aren't.
It's happening.
I've asked a couple of my buddies. They aren't.
Yeah, I don't think people are on this yet. The same thing with Kansas City Royals, how they were known as a non-strikeout team. So for me, I think Irvin Santana, he has some pretty nice upside. I don't know if he's someone who's gonna crush value too much at 9.2, but he's been having a great season so far. He's scored at least 34 in every game that he's played. So for me, like if I'm playing cash, I'm definitely considering him. And in GPPs, if I don't think people are going to be on him tomorrow, like I think I may go hard with Irvin Santana. He's going to face a couple of lefties.
When's the last time you said you were going to go hard with Irvin Santana?
At 9-2. At 9-2, granted.
It doesn't happen, but
he's a steal at 9-2.
So much. Yeah, man, it's tough. I've never said that before, but I think that Sonny Gray, he's making his first start this season,
Yes.
right?
I think so, yeah.
So, I think Minnesota, with a couple of their guys, they make a lot of contact. They're going to be getting on base. They should be able to get the win for him. You're not going to see too much resistance there, except for maybe Chris Davis. You could run into a little trouble if Alonso or Vogt gets a nice hit on the ball. It's going to be tough because he's facing a lot of lefties, but I think that the amount they've been striking out and they haven't really been putting up many runs at all. They have only 41 in the last 4 days, which is fifth worst in the league. So those few factors combined, I really think Irvin Santana could be a good play tomorrow.
What you got, Josh?
Guess who my cash game pitcher was on Friday?
Sonny Gray. No, just kidding. I'm assuming it's Santana.
Was it Irvin?
No, we're talking about targeting these athletics. It was Charlie Morton.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Charlie Morton. Terrible, no good, very bad. Charlie Morton, who ran out of Pittsburgh, look at this line. Friday night, he went 7 innings pitched, struck out 12.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, man. Oakland, they've been K'ing a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a ground baller right there. That's a contact guy. That's not someone who's going to get a ton of strikes.
And not a very good pitcher in general, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ben said, the Oakland can make ground ball specialists look like, Syndergaard. It's they are really bad.
They're just not doing it.
And there's a lot of smart people that are liking Charlie Morton long term. I don't know. Pittsburgh. I'm a Pirates fan. Technically, DFS has ruined me, and now I root against the Pirates all the time. But Charlie Morton, he was a high draft pick. He never cut it in Pittsburgh. You would think that Ray Searage, who's supposed to be like the pitcher whisperer, would have fixed him, but now he goes to Houston. He's been a pretty decent pitcher, so I don't want to bag on Morton too much. But I think that Irvin is a better pitcher than him, and I think at home, I think Irvin has 50, 60 point upside. But like Ben said, has that cash game floor. I'm loving Mr. Santana tomorrow.
Interesting.
And one more thing to add to this is not only the lefty bats from Minnesota who are in a good spot, but Sonny Gray gives up a 242 ISO to righties. And, we know Sano crushes righties, Dozier's righties. So I think Sano at 3,700, he is in line for a potential home run tomorrow.
Sure. All right, we got Cole Hamels, the lefty from the Texas Rangers, visiting Mike Fears of the Houston Astros. Go ahead, Ben.
Hold on, let me just get to that real quick. All right.
I'm liking that no call a lot, Ben. He hits very well at home too. Mm-hmm. Sonny Gray was not good last year. I don't know why he's going to be good all of a sudden in his first start. I would take a hard look at Sano for a home run tomorrow. For sure. Just throw that in there.
Definitely.
Absolutely. One thing with this game, this Houston Texas game, is Cole Hamels hasn't let up more than 3 runs this whole season, and Vegas has Houston implied for 4.7 runs, which is a lot, and it's way above what Hamels lets up. So For me, I'm not going to be on Houston. I think that's going to be a GPP fade for me. I think people will go there, even though it's against Hamels, because they'll see, righty-lefty matchups and Vegas runs. So for me, I'm going to stay away from that. I'd probably be on the other side and with the Rangers. I think that you may be able to get some low ownership there. You'll get a potential home run from Gallo. He lines up pretty well against Fears. Chu has been hitting the ball well. Odor looks like he's starting to make some more contact. Mazzara's been batting in the 2-hole sometimes. So I think you got some nice bats over there on the Texas side, and I think they'll be low owned, and people will go to the Houston bats.
For sure. Josh, what you got for us? Anything?
This game's kind of meh to me. I know we're trying to scoot through things. I'm not playing Hamels. I'm not really playing hitters against him either. Mike Fears has been very hittable so far this season, so he's not really scaring me off Texas bats. I like Gallo. Gallo's had some real pop. Is he still eligible for Rookie of the Year?
That's a good question.
I don't know. You know that if he is, I mean,
I don't think so, but he played enough last year, and he was getting sent down enough.
Yeah. I just remember him being awful last year. I thought he got sent out.
I don't think he'll get it just because Judge is eligible for it. So
well, there you go.
Homer.
So I mean, it's already wrapped up. Judge already won the game.
Excuse me, I had some in my throat.
I mean, I think Judge could break his leg tomorrow and still win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for sure. He said I think he said a Yankees rookie record, or no, just a rookie record in general for most home runs in April to start the year, which is awesome.
Yeah. He steals bases too.
Yeah, well, he still won. I saw him the other day. He still won in that route. I mean, but for this game, for me, it's I could use the Texas bats and GPPs. If I want to go low owned and high entry GPPs, just because I think people will be on the Houston side, and I wouldn't use the Houston bats tomorrow.
You think people are going to be on the Houston side? I would think that people would play the Texas side more than
I think people are so obsessed. I think people are so obsessed with Vegas that they're just going to see that it's almost a 5-run total, and they're not going to realize that Hamels hasn't let up more than 3 this year yet. So I mean, unless they're going to go with that, thinking that you could really get that off of him, which I don't really see, because I think he's a very capable pitcher, and these guys strike out a lot. But
I don't know. I'm just looking right now. Okay, Boston is projected for 5.6. We got the Yankees are projected pretty high, 5.1 against Latos. So I just feel like Hamels is still Hamels. And listen, I think Houston's actually in a good spot. Hamels is not striking anybody out this year. And on top of that, Houston's not striking out as much as they did last year. I just think that I don't know if people are going to be on Houston because of Hamels. There are a lot of people still like the guy. I mean, he's priced at 9.5.
There's only what, 2 other teams that are projected for more runs than them right now. You have 3. You have Yankees, Cincinnati, and Boston. Mm-hmm. Those are the only teams that are projected for more runs than them.
Right, and I just feel like they have all 3 of those teams on. Like if you ask the average Joe Schmo who's never played, maybe his first day playing fantasy, which one of these guys is the best pitcher, they would probably say Cole Hamels out of the list of opponents you just named. So I don't know if the Astros are going to be that popular. I mean, they might be because people like to play them, but I think people still respect Cole a little more than they probably should at this point.
I think they're going to be more popular than Texas.
Interesting. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah.
I completely disagree. You want to put some action on that, Ben?
No, Ben doesn't bet. Ben don't like to bet. He learned his lesson. He lost an avatar bet with me. He told me he didn't want to do it. I forced him into it. I put the peer pressure on.
That should be a T-shirt. Ben don't bet.
Ben don't bet.
Action's
going. I'm having fun with you guys, man. We should do this like every week. I think that you nailed it on the head, Chris. I think that Cole Hamels gets that name respect that he probably shouldn't get. He's still he's been doggone terrible, and he's still the 5th most expensive pitcher on FanDuel. So I think that Vegas is doing what Vegas does, and they're being sharp by giving the Astros a high run total. So I don't hate the Astros here. I'm liking the Rangers more and more. Carlos Gomez just went off for 48 points a couple games ago. He's got that upside. But I think that the Astros will be somewhat owned. They're stinking it up tonight against a pitcher that's way worse than Cole Hamels. But it's so interesting. I know they do most of these algorithms on FanDuel and DraftKings based on ownership, right, as opposed to player per performance. So people are obviously still rostering Cole Hamels if he's the fifth most expensive pitcher, but the guy has not been good. He's not been missing bats, and that's interesting.
I'm curious to see what the line looks like tomorrow because it opened with Houston at 4.5 and now it's at 4.7. So I mean, it's moving up for them.
If you think about it from a Vegas perspective, Vegas is all about perception. That's how that's basically how they win against the public is they play it off perception.
They love getting suckers.
Yes. So I'm looking at this right now. If I told you, forget about DFS, just from a betting standpoint, Ben. If I said Cole Hamels against Mike Fears, I'll give you plus 131 on Hamels. I feel like the average person would be like, yeah, sure, absolutely. You know, like I don't think anybody would be willing to lay 142 on Fears over Hamels, just from the naked eye. You know.
No, trust me. I completely agree. Hamels is the best pitcher out of all of them, but I think people read into Vegas a lot more than we may officially or initially believe, just because whenever someone's new is coming into baseball, the first thing you're told is watch the Vegas lines. You know, so I mean, I'm just saying, there's only 3 teams on the whole slate out of 22 teams that have a higher Vegas total. So, I'm just curious to see what they have the Vegas total as tomorrow. If they're just trying to sucker people into certain bets right now, that could be a possibility.
It seems to be like they're suckering people onto Texas. That's what it seems like to me. It looks to me like they're really trying to sucker people onto Texas. 131 for Cole Hamels against Mike Fears. It just sounds like a big trap. Not from a DFS perspective. I'm talking from a betting perspective.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think we're spending a little bit too much time on this game, but
break the trend, dude. We're already an hour in. We spent too much time on every game, brother. Yeah. All right, we got Willie Peralta of the Milwaukee.
I feel like Chris is at home right now with like a whole entire wall about this game. He's
for real.
Stuff. He's writing on the walls.
A game that we're not really even using. We just spent like 10 minutes on.
I think I'll be using the Houston bats for sure. All right, Willie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers visiting Carlos Martinez of the St. Louis Cardinals. Go ahead, Ben.
All right, in interest of speeding it up, Willie Peralta has been pretty decent this year. I usually like to use St. Louis bats to stack. I would trust St. Louis bats against Peralta more than Peralta against St. Louis bats. So for me, I like St. Louis guys. Milwaukee, they're striking out a lot. Carlos Martinez is in a decent spot, but I don't like that they also follow those strikeouts with home runs and doubles. So for me, Carlos Martinez is definitely in a good spot. Vegas likes him and everything. It's just going to be tough to pick on this Milwaukee team that's really been hot, and we know that Martinez has a low floor, high ceiling. So if I think he's going to be highly owned, I'll be off him. If I think he's going to be low owned, I'll consider him. But it's a game that you could stack. It's a tough one, but just in interest of moving on, I like St. Louis bats.
For sure. Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
Yeah, just taking a quick look at Wiley Peralta's line this year. He's pretty good. I remember when he was like an automatic gas can. We used to love picking on Wiley Peralta. Not so much. He's has 5 starts this year. He won 4 of them and got quality starts, except for one where he got rocked by the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yep.
He got smoked. He got like -6 FanDuel points in that game. So the Cardinals seem to know how to hit him. I don't mind taking shots on guys like Matt Carpenter or others that line up well against him. I wouldn't mind taking a couple Cardinals.
Carp is hot right now, man. Carp and Fowler, they're really coming along. You get Wong, who's hitting well at the end of the order. So, I mean, St. Louis was my Cleveland team before I found Cleveland. So
does Jed have the platoon advantage tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no. But for him, it is. He's a reverse splits hitter, and Peralta's a righty.
Right.
coming off a double done.
For sure.
Yeah, I've been rocking with him all week. He's been at the top of our sheets all week. So I've been
like that.
yeah. I got a couple of good games out of him.
For sure.
Gotta like that.
Before we move on, Cardinals 4.6 projected runs against Peralta. Peralta, I'm sorry, the Brewers only 3.5. That's definitely interesting, something to keep in mind. All right, so we got Jose Quintana of the lefty from the Chicago White Sox visiting Danny Duffy, the lefty from the Kansas City Royals. What you got for us, Ben?
Duffy won me a lot of money last year, so I don't know if I'm being biased, but I think he's a much better pitcher than is actually perceived throughout the industry. I've seen him pitch really well this year. His strikeouts are a little bit down, but he hasn't been letting up a lot of home runs or base runners. So I like him. The only problem is I think there's too many righties on the White Sox, and he's much better against lefties. So this game in general is a fade for me, except for maybe Todd Frazier, who's been heating up on the White Sox side. But besides that, I'm not really interested in this game.
For sure. What you got for us, Josh?
Well, we all learned that. I don't know you guys. I know I did. Learned that the hard way. Oh, the White Sox are awful. Just take any pitcher against the White Sox. Well, that's not true. Because they destroyed these Kansas City lefties, man, last time that they saw them, which was just like last week. So that dispelled that trend rather quickly. So, I'm not wild about this game. Kansas City bats are heating up a little bit. They play very well at home. You got guys like Hosmer homer tonight. Moose has been pretty hot. Little interest in the KC bats, but not wild about it.
Lefties though facing Quintana and.
Good point, Ben. I'm not really crazy about much of this game now that I see that.
Yeah.
All right. We got Tyler Chatwood of the Colorado Rockies visiting Trevor Cahill of the San Diego Padres. Go ahead, Ben.
I can consider possibly Sal Perez from that game, but moving on. I don't normally like to pick Colorado pitchers, but there are a couple of guys that shown themselves to be pretty decent when they're not playing in Colorado. Chatwood is one of them, facing against Padres who have a very high K percentage. So I definitely think that he could be in play. I just don't know if you're going to be able to get the runs from Colorado. So, if I was playing on DraftKings, I'd probably consider him as a pitcher too. I just don't know if I could secure that for him really in terms of what I'd be looking for on FanDuel. But I think that he's just a decent salary saver. You could even look at Trevor Cahill going against Colorado. I think that's more sneaky than Chatwood would be because people know to go against San Diego. This year, Cahill's had 4 starts. He's pitched 6 innings per game. K per 9 of 11.25. K percentage of 29. Ground ball 60%. WHIP 1.3. xFIP 2.99. These are a lot of advanced stats, but they mean a lot. Trust me. He's been pitching well. 6,900 going against Colorado, who's just not as good away. So for me, I think he's in play. I don't know if anyone's really going to be on him at all, but Cahill for me is someone that is in play tomorrow. It's an even Vegas score. No one's supposed to score a lot of runs, so I like Cahill as a GPP pitcher for me tomorrow.
For sure. Josh, what you got for
us? Ben kind of took the words out of my mouth. On DK, I'd be pretty locked into Irvin and Chatwood tomorrow. We were just talking about how these same San Diego Padres made who's the pitcher for the Diamondbacks that played for Seattle last year? Taijuan Walker. They made Taijuan Walker look like Kurt Schilling. So this Padres team is awful. I think that they just kind of take what your pitcher gets on FanDuel usually and add like 25 points to it. And Chatwood does pitch very well away from Coors. He's their de facto ace now, right? Now that John Gray is, whatever's going on with him, he's the best pitcher in town. And we've seen Chatwood's upside. He went into a Giants team that's pesky and good a few games ago on the 15th of April and threw a complete game. Only struck out 4 and still got 49 FanDuel points. So I like him. He struck out 7 of these San Diego Padres in Coors. I'm still leaning Irvin, but I'll probably have Irvin, Santana in cash and have several GPT teams with Chatwood because at 7,600 against an awful San Diego team, and I think Chatwood's a pretty damn good pitcher. So I have a lot of interest in Chatty tomorrow. Like Ben said, if they can just get like 1 or 2 runs, maybe one of these sluggers hits a home run, I think that's all he needs.
Would you use him in cash, though?
Would I use him in cash? Hang on a second. Let me look at his.
I mean, he's scored 12 and 8 the last 2 games, 5 innings, 6 innings, 5 runs.
Those are at home though. Would I use him in cash? On DK, I would use him as my SP2 in cash. He got beat up a little bit in his last 2 starts, but those were Coors, man. So
right, but you could still get strikeouts at Coors. You could still 4 and 2 in 2 games. I mean, they weren't high strikeout teams, but I mean, John Gray when he's playing in Colorado, he still gets strikeouts.
Yeah, I know. Don't you? Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that I read some the other day about how these Colorado guys almost have different mindsets. Like when they're in Coors, they're trying to throw more, ground ball dribblers and stuff like that. And because when you're a strikeout pitcher and you're putting the ball out there, tempting hitters to swing at it, you just have to touch it in Coors and it's gone. So right. I wouldn't be surprised if Chatty had a slightly different mindset when he's pitching at home. He's not necessarily hunting strikeouts, but that's kind of my take. But I definitely like Santana way more, and he's only like 1,500 more on FanDuel. But Chatwood's tempting just because it's the Padres and they swing at everything and they're a bad offense. But I think that Santana is way safer.
Sure. I'm just pointing it out just because I was just curious if you would use. For me, it seems like he just has a low floor. He definitely has some upside, but he seems like just more of a GPP play in general to me.
Well, that's why I love Santana. You guys know how I go about GPPs. I do the most lineups I do is 2. Most nights I'll just do 1 lineup. I'll do 1K in cash and then 500 of my cash lineup in GPPs. And so I'm not looking to win a GPP with that. I'm looking for it to go 4 or 5 times value. So I mostly play safe guys, and Irvin is just my kind of pitcher tomorrow. He's very reliable. He's not going to get you negative points. He's not going to kill your team. Worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario for Irvin Santana? Like 38 FanDuel points with a ceiling of 60.
In this particular matchup, I'm not against you guys. I'm not saying this matchup is perfect for Santana. One thing I do want to point out though is his BABIP is ridiculous. He's been good. Don't get me wrong. He's been good. But if you look at his BABIP, he's been getting extremely lucky this season. So I don't think this is the matchup where it's going to blow up. But at some point, I think you're going to see a little bit of aggression. I don't think he's not really the type of pitcher to get blown up anyway. But I think there will come a point soon. Not necessarily against these strikeout A's, but there will come a point soon where he's going to be in a juicy looking spot and he's going to give up 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah, see, I would agree with you if his hard percentage was up. But he this year in 5 starts, he's been going 7 innings per game, .66 WHIP, and a hard percentage of 25. His BABIP's only 0.21, which isn't super low. That's is a little bit better than average, but fly ball percentage and ground ball both around 41, 42, and his hard is only 25. If that was mid mid 30s to mid 30s to mid 40s, then I'd agree with you. But I just think he's pitching really well.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm a big corrective kind of person when it comes to baseball, and so I'm worried that at some point. But as far as this matchup, I mean, I'm with you guys 100%. I mean, it's the A's,
What
and
is
they're
that?
striking out a ton.
Can you break that down for listeners who may not understand these super advanced stats? That basically means it's Santana. His defense behind him has been saving his butt quite a few times. It's basically what that means, right?
Correct. Yes, but basically the balls that he puts into play, the league average, the stat is designed to have a league average or so. The league average is roughly, what has it been? Anywhere from 280 to 300, right around there for the for your average batting average balls in play. So what happens is if it, right. So if you have a low BABIP, if you say you got a guy, I remember there was one year where Jason Hamill was crushing one year for the Cubs, and we looked at his BABIP and it was like it was like 0.13, ridiculously low. And sure enough, towards the end of the season, it corrected itself out. He started getting rocked a little bit more. So basically, it's basically a way to measure how lucky a pitcher has kind of been. Now, obviously, nothing is perfect, but we call them corrective stats because they're going to regress or progress depending on how good or bad it is. What do you think,
Right.
Ben? Did I get a decent gist on that one?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like for me, if I consider it more corrective when you have, like I was saying, if his hard percentage, like if people are hitting the ball really hard, if they're making a lot of contact on the ball and the BABIP is low, then you can expect some negative regression.
For sure.
If the BABIP is just low and he's getting a lot of soft contact, he's not getting a lot of hard contact, pitching a lot of innings, I think he's just pitching well. I think that, like 0.211 isn't great, but at the same time, he has a pretty decent defensive team behind him in the infield.
He does.
So, you can consider that maybe he's been getting lucky, but I think it's just, he's been pitching well. He has some good defenders behind him. He hasn't been getting a lot of hard contact. So, BABIP, like, yeah, you can use it, but if the guy's not getting hit hard, then those balls that are in play, they're just soft grounders to the defense anyway. Yeah. So, like if, his hard percentage this year is 25. If it was 45, then I'd say, all right, I think that those balls are going to start getting through. But just because balls are in play, it doesn't mean they're being rocketed at it.
I think that's a great point, especially with the hard contact rate being low. But the whole point of luck, right? How many times, like a seeing eye single, right? It only takes a couple of moves. An error here, an error there is phenomenal defense. Once in a while, they're going to make errors. So, like I said, I don't think Santana, because his hard contact rate is down, he's not your blow-up guy. He's not going to be the guy you want to stack against. I just think that, again, not in this matchup, but I think at some point in the future we could see him have one of those games where he kind of just gives up, a walk turns into an error, which turns into a couple runs that maybe he shouldn't have gotten. But I'm with you 100% though.
BABIP doesn't take in errors, so it's talking about just the balls that like are either hits or outs. So
right, but it's a game of inches.
The stat tell the whole story? I think is what the case is here, and I don't think that it does. I think Ben, you both raise good points, but I'm from Minneapolis. Like I go to a lot of Twins games, but I've been all over the world the past few months. But it's a really good defensive infield. Dozier is like a web gem every night. And so you factor in that he has an above-average defense behind him, especially the infield, and even the outfield. There's some quick guys in the outfield too. And then the fact that this guy is a super high ground ball pitcher. Right. I think I'll see more strikeouts than he usually does tomorrow against these strikeout-happy A's. But this guy is just – I've watched this guy pitch live at least 15 times. It's ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball. Oh, strikeout, ground ball, ground ball. So that's just the kind of pitcher he is.
A story, like it won't tell you the whole story, but it'll lead you into other thinking. Now, if he had a really high BABIP and he's getting a lot of soft contact, then there's a big problem, and he's going to positively regress. And if he's getting a low BABIP and a lot of hard contact, he'll probably negatively regress. But I think you can say that with the defense behind him and the soft contact that he's been getting, that I think it kind of does tell the story of what's happening.
For sure. All right, guys, we got Matt Shoemaker of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim visiting James Paxton, the lefty from the Seattle Mariners. Go ahead, man.
All right, Paxton's been great this year. He's been really good. You know, he had one kind of bad start against Oakland, of course, who we've been talking about, but you know, he let up 5 runs on them. Against them, and he hasn't let up a run in any other game. So he's been crushing it. The only problem is the Angels this year they're actually dead last in terms of strikeout percentage, or maybe I could say that differently. They have the lowest strikeout percentage against lefties this year so far at 16%. They also have a really low ISO at 145. I mean, that's kind of like maybe league average, so it's nothing great. But, you know, you can look to pick on them, but he may not be able to get that high upside long inning game that we're used to seeing from him. But, I mean, since in his last 4 starts, he's had 8 or 9 strikeouts in all of the games. So this is going to be a tough one for me. I don't think he's going to be as high for me as he may be against some other people, just because I see that the Angels haven't been striking out much against lefties at all this year. They just haven't been letting up much pop either. For me, this is kind of a stay away game because I think Shoemaker is capable enough as a pitcher to limit a lot of runs from Seattle as well.
For sure. Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us in this game?
No, I think I understand what you're saying here, Ben. The Angels are ninth worst in all of baseball as far as striking out, but you're saying most of those come against right-handed pitching.
Their K percent here. I could tell you right now. Their K percentage against lefties is
they're in the bottom third.
It's 16% versus lefties, and then the next is 18.8 in the Giants, and then if you look at them versus righties, let's see, they are. Hold on, I don't have it in front. I'm looking at team versus righties. Okay, Angels. Give me one sec. No, I have them. They haven't been striking out much against righties either.
I have them. It's kind of a log jam here early in the season, but they do have the ninth. They're tied with Texas for the 9th most strikeouts in baseball. It's Tampa Bay, Milwaukee, San Diego, Arizona, Toronto, Oakland, Cubs, Colorado, Angels, Texas are the top 10 teams.
Right. I'm going by strikeout percentage.
Okay.
Total strikeouts.
Okay.
Interesting.
So there are some strikeouts to be had in this lineup, but it doesn't really pop, you know?
Yeah.
Right. There's always strikeouts to be had. I just think that they'll be able to possibly get to his pitch count more than any other team. But, I mean, for me, it's kind of an avoid. It's just not a good situation on either side.
So on FanDuel, Ben, you have Irvin at 9,200 and Paxton is just 100 more. You would go Irvin?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think people are going to see that game log from Paxton and just really go to him.
The game log is pretty nice.
Yeah,
it definitely.
He's had 2 or 3 games this year where he's gone over 60.
Definitely.
But see that's what I'm trying to do. I know he has the upside. I'm just trying. I was listening to Mick Jester's interview today on Perfect Lineup podcast with Jason, and what he was saying is like, not only do you have to look for reasons to play somebody, but you also have to look for reasons why to not play somebody. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Paxton, just because I know that he's been popular, he's going to be popular because everyone remembers him pitching well this year. And I'm just hoping for a game where, my guys will be able to outscore him, even though he has a sick game log. So, I mean, he's definitely in play. He has the upside. I'm just saying that the Angels, they're just not striking out that much.
Sure.
In terms of their plate appearances. They may have a lot of total strikeouts, but they're probably getting to the plate a lot and making people work.
Sure.
Valid point for sure. We got Matt Moore, the lefty from the San Francisco Giants, visiting Alex Wood, the lefty from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Our last game of the slate. Go ahead, Ben.
It pains me to say this because I really like the Giants, and I have over the years. They just haven't really been good this year. They're not playing very well at all. They're not hitting home runs. They're not.
No Bumgarner for a while.
They're not scoring a lot of runs. They're extra base hits. They're getting a decent amount, but I don't know, man. They just don't look that good to me. And they're usually a team that I use. Wood's been pitching pretty decently, so I think I can kind of consider him. The only thing is the Giants they're not a team that's going to give you a ton of strikeouts. So at 7.6, I think you can consider Wood. But at that point, I'd probably either use Chatwood or go down to Cahill. So I don't really see much going on in this game for me. But I am going to talk to Matt Amon and see what he thinks about like the Santa Ana Winds or whatever winds are coming through the Dodgers game tomorrow, because then you can maybe put some of the Dodgers righties into play against Matt Moore. But this is probably a game I'll be avoiding.
For sure. Go ahead, Josh. What you got for us?
I think what do we have? 14 games?
11?
11.
No, I think 11 was yesterday.
Oh, what?
There's a lot of freaking games.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of games today. We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. There's a lot of games today.
I'm counting. What is it? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 15 games.
15?
It's either 14 or 15. Yeah, I think Ben's right. I think it's 15.
So when you got 15 games, and I'm only playing 1 or 2 lineups, you just got to fade entire games, and this is a game I'm pretty comfortable fading.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's my analysis for San Francisco.
I love it. I think it's great. All right. So that's gonna do it for the game by game breakdowns. It took a little longer than usual because there's a crap ton of games that you could do, and we wanted to make sure we talked about it for everybody. So you know what? Let's have some fun now. We're gonna play the dog watch game.
If Chris wouldn't have talked the whole entire time,
You know what it is, Josh? When me and you, when we do this in the future, when we come across a game that neither of us like, instead of describing all the different ways why we don't like it, let's just say we don't like it. Because it's obvious that me and you can get lost in analysis, and we could just keep going and going and looking at stats.
I will say,
just for the viewers'
I think the people will enjoy it, though. I think
it was
three of us
definitely entertaining for sure. I do think I got to give you guys credit. I don't think I've ever seen two guys debate over games that they don't like as much as I've seen.
We were in agreement, and we're still arguing.
Yeah. But you're gonna get our raw thoughts from this game.
Absolutely, for sure.
I mean, from this
pod, of course. All right, so we're gonna play the Dong Watch game. Me and Matt completely forgot it yesterday. We skipped. We had some good takes. We were on the Mets. Matt had a couple strong takes. We actually our takes are pretty good, but we forgot about the Dong Watch game, and that's where we get to have our fun. So it's a snake draft order. There's no course field, so anybody's on the board. Josh, do you want to go first? We usually give the guest the first pick. Do you want to go first?
No. Ben can go first.
All right, Ben. Do you want to go second or last? Josh.
Well, Ben can go.
No. I'm saying you want to go second or last.
I'm very confused by that question. If Ben goes first, then I go second. Right?
Okay, yeah. No, I'm playing too. I'm in the game too, man. So I'm saying, do you want to go second or last? All right.
I will go last. I forgot you were there for a little bit.
Leaving him out, bro.
I can go last.
All right, Ben. Go ahead.
All right, Sano.
Ooh, that's a good one right there. I like that. All right, Josh, go ahead.
Judge.
Ooh, taking Ben's boy on him there. All right, so I get 2. I'm gonna go with Springer from Houston, and I'm gonna go with Lamb from Arizona. And then it goes back
to me,
to
right?
Josh. Yes.
Votto,
I like it. And then you get 2 here, Ben.
Duval. And here's your 1% home run tomorrow if he plays. Justin Bohr.
Ah. All right, I'm with it. All right, your last pick, Josh.
Jed Gorko.
Okay, I'm with it. And for me, I'm gonna go with Mookie Betts as my final one. All right. Listen, guys, for those of you obviously know where to find Ben's stuff. You can find his cheat sheets. Him and CG are doing their thing. You can find the articles, the Slack chat, all that stuff over at dailyrotosharks.com. Click the link in the description. Support the podcast. If you want to find more of the Chovan one, of Josh Chovan over here, we had a blast with him. We appreciate you coming on, Josh. You can find him on Twitter at the Chovan one. And, of course, you can find his work over on Roto Curve. You're going to want to check that in. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. It was a blast. It really was here. Ben, Josh, both of you guys, man, I had a blast with you. I appreciate it.
As always.
All right. So
let's do this against them.
Of course, absolutely. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button. That thumbs up means a lot to us. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on Podbean, give us a follow. If you're listening on iTunes, please subscribe to the channel, of course, and leave us some positive feedback, some reviews. We want to bump up those charts. But anyway, guys, listen, it was a blast. We had a lot of fun. I like this whole interpromotional stuff we got going on. It's nothing but DFS love in here, and it's a
hashtag
everybody love everybody.
Hashtag Sheet Squad. What'd you say?
Hashtag Sheet Squad.
Hashtag Sheet Squad.
At the from that Will Ferrell basketball movie, he keeps saying everybody love everybody. There's one.
That's it.
Everybody love everybody.
Everybody love everybody. There you have it from the Chovan one himself. All right, for Ben, for Josh, for myself, as always, good luck.